Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. This evening's video, I want to talk about following the action. And the reason why I wanted to bring this topic to the forefront is we live in America. It's supposed to be a great country for most of us. Is that correct? That is correct. However, when I look at the United States, from the time I was born to now, I've seen many changes. I've seen there have been some degresses and some progressives, or progressions. But one thing that has never changed is people, no matter what generation they come from. People have a way to control other people. They control them with force, they control them with money, they control them by utilizing sex or any other type of manipulation to get other people to do what they want. I'm talking about the people who have all of the resources. They promise you a rose garden. And like the old song says, I beg your pardon, I never promised you a rose garden. But people don't understand that because they're too much into their feelings. Now, to clarify it, let's talk about church. Now, there are a number of us who believe in God. But who's behind the pulpit preaching from the Bible? It's a preacher. Now, who are most of your customers in church? They're women. If you look at today's church, it's more and more women. But why are there more and more women in church compared to men? Well, when it comes to church, church isn't logical enough for most of us men. That's why we don't go. We know it's behind the eight ball. When it comes to women, it's easy to get into their emotions by making them feel good. The problem with trying to make somebody feel good is you got to manipulate or you got to con them by saying something that feels good. And this is what people in power do in general. They try to stroke your ego. They try to get into your emotional state to give you a feeling of hope. Obama was very good at that. But what happened to his hope and change? There was no hope and there was no change. In fact, things have gotten worse, especially race relations. He promised, because he was well spoken, he knew how to move people. But where people made the mistake, they didn't follow the action. And this is why I'm doing this video. When it comes to people in general, it is not what you say, it is what you do. Individuals are good for selling you a pipe dream. And if you believe the pipe dream without vetting the person, you're always going to be disappointed. See, the reason why I'm not disappointed at what goes on in the world, especially when it comes to politics, because I know most of these politicians, that's what they do. They sell you a pipe dream. They really don't have any care about you. Look at the health care bill. It could have been solved a long time ago. They're not going to solve it. Look at the tax bill. I've looked at it. Now you have the Senate version that's coming out. Well, it's a good pipe dream. But at the end of the day, it's not going to do anything for any of us. It's another pipe dream again. And this is what America is. It's what the Western world is. We make ourselves out to be the best in the world, but we're the hardest working people, but we're the most conning people as well. Because we like to con people into thinking that they can have a dream by being in this country. Now, if you are foreign and you have money, of course, you're going to get all the benefits because the laws benefit you, especially if you have a business because you don't have to pay taxes for 10 years. But if you were born here, everything is a dream. In fact, all the issues are recycled over and over and over and over again. But when it comes to dealing with people, and they want to sell you something, they want to tell you something, it's only believable if you see that they're providing the action behind it. In the black community, we have different sayings like, I'm going to keep it 100. Let's keep it real. I hear those words come out all the time. But are individuals really doing it? No, they're just saying it. Because it makes them feel good to feel like they are teaching themselves something as well as others. But they really aren't. They're just talking. In fact, most of us in general talk in proposals. We will say something that sounds good, but at the end of the day, we're not going to fulfill it. Why? Because we're not motivated enough to fulfill it. But we can get people to believe us because we're smart enough to know that once we get into somebody's emotions, they will follow us. But the people who follow us don't check us out. This is why people like Jim Jones, some of these other speakers, were so successful at getting people behind them because they sold them a dream. This is why some of the Middle Easterns get the ignorant or the non-intelligent people to do all the work for them because they sell them a dream. And I want you to understand something. Life is a privilege, but death is real. And if you don't understand that, you definitely don't understand how the real world works. But when you're living amongst people, you're going to have a variety of opinions. And at the end of the day, each opinion that you hear must be followed by actions. And if you don't follow the action, you're going to be miserable all your life. Now, I'm not giving you information from a skeptical point of view. I'm giving you information from a real world point of view. When you follow the actions of people, you will find out if people are really credible. You will find out if you can trust the people who are trying to sell you a pipe dream. It is true. It can't be refuted. But a number of us are so caught up in our emotions, we don't even care about the truth. Because we want what feels good to us. We want always to be in the positive. Well, the real world is not made that way. You have evil. You have to accept it. There are going to be days you're going to be disappointed. When you go to the voting booth, you got two people you're voting for president. There's only going to be one winner. And at the end of the day, you got to accept that. But when it comes to people in general, from a politician, you got to see what they're going to do. Now, there's only one person I know, not personally, but he said this, and that's the late Muhammad Ali. He would tell you he was going to win a fight before he even fought. And for the most part, he did. Because he was confident in himself. Now, there are a number of people who can't do that. We don't have that kind of confidence. But we have artificial confidence to make ourselves feel good. This is why some of the sayings you hear by some women, I don't need a man. That's just artificial confidence. Because in the long run, they do need a man because they don't like the situation that they're in. We can't accept what's really true. We can't accept facts. We have to go with what makes us feel good. And if people want to sell you a con game to make you feel good and you listen to it, well, that's your own fault. But you can't be mad at the world if it doesn't work your way. So when you follow the actions of people, that's going to give you an idea of how you're going to relate to people, because you're going to be able to separate the liars from the individuals who are truthers, and you're going to separate people who are credible and non-credible. You have a number of people who sound intelligent, but do they do intelligent? No. See, it's easy to sit back and talk. It's easy to sit back and talk about other people. But when you're in the game, you're going to get criticized. But see, in real life, we're not judged upon what we say, we're judged based on what we do. And if you follow the action, you're not going to be kind. Trust me, it works. Have your eyes open. Because many of us are walking around in our cell phones, on our computers, on social media, and we believe all the hoopla that goes on social media around us in the real world. Why? Number one, we're too lazy intellectually to even figure things out. Number two, we don't want to figure it out. We're going to accept things just as they are. Some of us just want to complain. But when you hear the old saying, say what you mean what you say, well, there's always something missing. And what's missing is the action part. It should say what you mean, follow it with action, mean what you say. That's what it should be. But many of us don't want to include action into the equation, because action will spell truth. And of course, in the United States of America, in this PC or politically correct culture, truth is null and void. We don't want to deal with the truth. Why? Because at the end of the day, the truth hurts. The truth becomes very credible. And when you follow the action, you're always going to get the truth. That's why you have to hear what people say, but you got to look at what they do. See, the surprise always comes when you listen to what somebody says and they do the opposite. Well, if you sit back and observe what people do, you're never going to be shocked at what's coming at you. Because the truth is always going to surface regardless of how you feel. I don't care how much you disagree with it. But when you follow the action, you're putting yourself in an area that credibility, truth, optimism, that is going to set you free. And when I say optimism with the truth, whether the truth is negative or positive, when you follow the action, you're going to get the answer to all of your questions. And the best thing is always look at something that is not being stated. This is why I say follow the actions, because the action is always the hidden unknown. Why is it the unknown? Because we don't pay attention to the actions. We always pay attention to what's said. This is why you have a lot of fast-talking salesmen out there. So they don't tell you what the fine print is, because they're trying to raise your hopes. They're not trying to raise your awareness, because they won't make that sale. Same with politicians. What politicians do is give you hope. Hope is to make you feel good. But this is what's been going on all along in this country. This is why you have very few successful people and a lot of poorer people, because we've been duped by the system. Because what the system has done, it's given us all this con game by telling us what it's going to do, but the actions never bear out. And if you look at the real world for what it is, you'll be able to understand it much better. But here's how you have to handle people's actions. Turn off your emotions. That's the first thing. Because many of us get caught up in everything when it comes to our emotions. The example I'm going to give you again is church. Now, if you believe in God, that's all on you. You don't have to go to church to believe in God. But all the hoopla comes is when the preacher raises his voice. Why does he do that? Because he's going to get a reaction. But what is that preacher going to do for his congregation? Nothing. He's going to come back next Sunday, look at another Bible verse. He's going to see what customers he has, and he's going to go through it all over again. He's going to preach a con game. And why is he going to do that? Because he wants to keep people coming back to his church so they can put money in the bucket so he can live his lifestyle, and he wants to give the congregation hope. Because at the end, when the congregation leaves the church, they're going to leave the same way they came back in. They came in poor and they're going to leave poor. That's how it works. Because the congregation isn't following the actions. They're listening to his voice and are reacting with the hallelujahs from the sound of his voice. That's how the con game works. And many of us still don't understand it, and they will never understand it. Why? Because they are in denial of what's going on. So when you follow the actions of people, you're going to get the truth, and you don't even have to ask the question. Let's take dating. If you're a man or a woman and you're doing all the calling, and the other party isn't trying to do everything, but they're telling you what they're going to do, well, you have to stop and think. If they're telling you what they're going to do, but they haven't done it, but they just told you that they're going to do something, like call you, well, chances are they're not going to call you. It's a con game. They just give you hope. And people who just talk are time wasters. That's what they do. And they don't care about wasting your time. You see, a lot of talkers don't go anywhere in life. Real life people understand that you must put forth the action if you want to go somewhere. Now, the actions must be just, because there are bad actions out there too. But even if you have bad actions, you can correct them with good actions, because bad actions are a learning tool. But when it comes to people in general, they're always going to have diarrhea of the mouth. And this is not skepticism that I'm speaking. This is truth. How many times have you been duped by an employer? Let me give you an example. When you go in for an interview, they're always going to tell you how you're going to benefit from working for their company. Sounds good, doesn't it? Or does it not? Well, when you get in, it's going to be a lot different, because what you were promised isn't going to occur. Because in the workplace, they already have the people in place that they want to promote. They just sold you a pipe dream just to get you in the door. And at the end of the day, because you didn't question it, you're miserable. And this is what happens. So when it comes to people in general, you follow their actions. You tell them, I hear what you say, but I see what you do. And even if you catch them in a lie via actions, they're going to lie. Why? Because people who constantly talk can be compulsive liars. And what a compulsive liar does is tell one lie after another, and sometimes they forget they're lying. They can't even trace their own steps. And this is the con game. But if you don't follow the action, you're going to be amongst a bunch of compulsive liars, and you'll be disappointed. So what I'm trying to point out in this video is to take your feelings from the issue and actually look at what people do. Because if you want to know somebody, It's easy to hear somebody tell you something, but to really know somebody is to see what they do. Because at the end of the day, we live in a performance-based society. We're based on what we do, not what we say. And lastly, actions speak louder than words. And it's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this rainy evening in Portage, Indiana, Saturday, November 17th, 2017. You can tune into the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest call-in number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show. Also, back to the radio show, we'll be having my co-host, Matt Coley. We're going to talk about some good topics. We're going to bring the radio show back. We haven't had it in a while because both of us have been working. So, when we get it back up, I will let you all know. But till then, you do know the times that my radio show does come on. If you don't, it's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. Again, the guest calling number is 215-383-5785. And again, if you like my videos, definitely share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube, so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on this channel, I don't engage in debates, controversial issues, nor emotional issues. And that's based on how you, as the audience member, take the information or react to the information. Because what I do on this channel is teach, and I'm just making you aware of what's going on around you. That's why I don't engage in any drama or unnecessary bickering, because it's counterproductive. What individuals need is education, and what I am doing is providing you the tools so you know how to conduct yourself in the real world, so you don't have to be con. That's why I did this video tonight. Follow the action. Because when you have the tools to see what people do, you're not going to be shocked or disappointed at any given time. Because you will know the truth about people based on their actions. Why? Because you have knowledge, and knowledge is power. And if you have a topic, a new YouTube channel, or a business that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section. Now, let me tell you about comments. First of all, if you have a question in your comment, you better look at the video 2 or 3 times, because I won't answer any questions. Because there's some comments that are left that individuals have questions. And don't use yourself as an example, because you won't get an answer either. What I want you to do is research. Look outside yourself if you see situations that are mirroring your situation. Because the more substance you have, I can see that you can write a well thought of comment. Because too many people put comments down that aren't really well thought of. And your intelligence is based on, again, what you do and how you interpret the material. That's why I do these videos. So look at the video a couple of times if you don't understand the content. It's very simple. If you have good listening skills, you're going to understand tonight's video. So, going back, if you have a comment, I want you to leave your comment in the comment section under the video, but make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering if you wish to opine. Now, that's it for this video. Till next time, My name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other. Have a wonderful and blessed evening.